The council chamber fell silent when Ambassador Zekthor activated the holographic display. 47 alien species watched as grainy sensor footage filled the massive screen above them. A ship appeared in the recording, sleek and dark, moving through space like a hunting predator. 3 days ago, this vessel entered Vrak's territory without permission, Zekthor said. His 4 eyes burned with anger, and his scaled hands shook as he pointed at the image. We sent patrol ships to intercept it. 20 vessels in total, good ships, strong ships. The recording showed the Vrak's patrol fleet approaching the unknown vessel. They looked like insects next to it. The mysterious ship was enormous, at least 5 kilometers long, with a hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They opened fire first, Zekthor continued. The human ship did not respond to any communication. It simply kept moving forward. The council members leaned forward in their seats. What happened next made several of them gasp. The human battleship didn't slow down or change course. Weapons fire from 20 Vrak ships struck its shields, and the energy simply disappeared like raindrops hitting an ocean. Then the human ship fired back. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. In less than 3 minutes, all 20 Vrak ships were destroyed. The human vessel continued on its path as if nothing had happened. "This is impossible," said Counselor Mira of the Selinar Unity. "Humans are a new species. We contacted them only 10 years ago. Their technology was primitive, chemical rockets, nuclear fission reactors. They barely had quantum communication." "That's what we thought too," Zekthor replied bitterly. "But this ship is something else entirely. Our scientists analyzed the energy signatures. The weapons it used don't match any known technology in the galaxy. The power readings from its reactors are beyond anything we've ever seen." Admiral Korthax of the Kryn Star Empire stood up. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with gray skin covered in battle scars. "You show us one ship destroying your weak patrols and expect us to be afraid? The Vraks have always been soft. This is why the Kryn rule half the galaxy." "Sit down, Korthax," ordered High Chancellor Vex. "Zekthor, continue your report." The ambassador's expression grew darker. The Vrak's patrol fleet was only the first encounter. Over the past 3 months, this ship has engaged 12 different military forces across known space. The Helian Confederacy lost 15 cruisers. The Torth Dominion sent 30 ships. None returned. The ship has never been damaged. Not once. He pulled up another file. "We identified the vessel's captain from intercepted communications. Her name is Commander Elena Zhao. She was an officer in Earth's Defense Force. 5 years ago, she disappeared during a classified mission. Since then, nobody has seen or heard from her, until 3 months ago when this ship appeared." "What does she want?" asked Counselor Mira. "Why is she attacking everyone?" "We don't know," Zekthor admitted. "She doesn't make demands. She doesn't negotiate. She just moves through space, and anyone who tries to stop her dies." Admiral Korthax laughed loudly. "You're all cowards. 1 human female and 1 ship, and you panic like younglings. The Kryn Star Empire has fleets that number in the thousands. If this human wants a fight, she'll get one she won't survive." Before anyone could respond, every screen in the council chamber flickered. The holographic displays shut down and then restarted. A new image appeared on every surface. It was a woman's face. She looked young, perhaps 30 years old by human standards. Her skin was pale and her dark hair was pulled back in a simple style. But her eyes were what drew attention. They were cold and bright, like stars burning in deep space. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear, but there was something in it that made even the bravest council members feel uncomfortable. "My name is Elena Zhao," she said. "I know you're discussing what to do about me. Let me save you some time. I'm not interested in your politics. I'm not interested in your treaties. I have one target and one target only." She paused, and her eyes seemed to look directly at Admiral Korthax. "I'm coming for the Kryn homeworld. Your empire murdered innocent people, my family. You thought you could hide it. You thought nobody would find out about your secret attack on the human colony at Kepler 442. You were wrong. Admiral Korthax's gray skin turned darker, with rage. "You dare threaten the Kryn Empire? You'll die screaming, human." Elena's expression didn't change. "I'm giving you one warning, Admiral. Keep your fleets at home. Protect your people. Because anyone who tries to stop me from reaching Kryn will share your empire's fate. I don't want to kill innocents, but I will go through anyone who stands in my way." The transmission ended as suddenly as it began. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted at each other. Some demanded immediate action. Others called for negotiation. Admiral Korthax stood in the center of it all, his face twisted with fury. "You all heard that. The human has declared war on the Kryn Empire. This is an act of aggression against all galactic civilization. I'm mobilizing my fleets immediately. Every ship, every weapon. This human will learn what happens when you challenge the Kryn." He turned to face the council. 1,200 warships. That's what I'll bring to crush this insect. And when I return with her corpse, perhaps the rest of you will remember why the Kryn are the greatest military power in the galaxy. As Korthax stormed out of the chamber, Counselor Mira turned to Zekthor. "This is madness. We need to find out what really happened at that human colony. If the Kryn did attack them, then the Kryn will never admit it," Zekthor interrupted. "And this human, Elena Zhao, will start a war that could consume us all." High Chancellor Vex looked at the empty space where Elena's transmission had appeared. "Or perhaps," he said quietly, "the war has already begun, and we just don't realize how badly we're losing." The Kryn Nebula was one of the most heavily defended locations in known space. Admiral Korthax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, watching his fleet take position. 1,200 warships spread across the nebula in perfect formation. Weapons platforms floated between them, and millions of mines drifted in carefully calculated patterns. Nothing could pass through this defense. Nothing. "Admiral, we have the human ship on sensors," his tactical officer reported. "Distance 2 million kilometers and closing fast." "How fast?" Korthax demanded. The officer checked his readings twice before answering. "Sir, the ship is moving at 0.7 light speed. That's impossible. No ship can maintain that speed and still drop into normal combat velocity without tearing itself apart." "Apparently this one can," Korthax growled. "All ships, prepare to fire. The moment that human comes into range, I want everything we have hitting her shields. Let's see how tough her ship really is." The minutes crawled by. Every eye on every ship watched their sensors. The human battleship appeared on their screens, growing larger. It was massive and dark, its hull seeming to drink in the light from nearby stars. Strange energy patterns flickered across its surface. "Range in 30 seconds, the tactical officer announced. 20 seconds, 10 seconds, now." "All ships fire," Korthax roared. 1,200 warships opened fire at once. Energy beams powerful enough to cut through moons lanced through space. Missiles that could destroy cities streaked toward their target. The weapons platforms added their firepower to the barrage. It was enough energy to vaporize a small planet. The beams hit the human ship's shields. For a moment, the shields glowed bright blue, lit up by the incredible amount of energy striking them. But then something impossible happened. The energy just vanished. It didn't bounce off. It didn't overload the shields. It simply disappeared, absorbed into nothing. "Direct hit confirmed," the tactical officer said, his voice confused. "No damage detected, none at all." Before Korthax could respond, the human ship fired back. A beam of pure white light shot from its bow, and one of the Kryn heavy cruisers simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion. The ship was there 1 second, compressed into a tiny ball the next, and then gone. The gravity weapon had crushed it into nothing. "What was that?" someone shouted. The human ship didn't stop moving. It plunged into the Kryn formation like a blade cutting through paper. More beams of white light shot out, and more ships died. Then different weapons fired, missiles that seemed to phase through shields as if they weren't there before exploding inside ship hulls. Kinetic projectiles moving so fast they appeared as streaks of light, punching through armor like it was nothing. "All ships converge on target," Korthax ordered. "Surround it. Use the mines." The Kryn fleet tried to follow his orders. They were good ships with experienced crews. They'd fought in hundreds of battles, but fighting the human was like trying to catch smoke with their hands. The Indomitable moved with impossible grace for something so large. It seemed to know where every shot would come from before it was fired. It dodged or destroyed incoming fire with casual ease, and it never stopped attacking. Every few seconds, another Kryn ship died. The human wasn't fighting randomly. She was systematic, precise, like a doctor cutting out diseased tissue. She targeted the most dangerous ships first, then worked her way through the fleet in perfect tactical order. "She's predicted every move we make," Korthax's tactical officer said, his voice shaking. "It's like she knows what we're going to do before we do it." Inside the Indomitable, Elena Zhao sat in a chamber that was part command center, part organic. Interface. Cables and neural connections linked her directly to the ship's systems. She wasn't just piloting the ship. She was the ship. She felt its shields as her skin, its weapons as her hands, its sensors as her eyes. "Probability analysis complete," said Prometheus, the ship's artificial intelligence. Its voice echoed in Elena's mind. "Current trajectory will result in complete fleet destruction in 41 minutes. "Too slow," Elena replied, her thoughts moving at computer speed. "Adjust attack pattern. Target their command ship. Break their coordination." Acknowledged. "Elena, I must note that civilian evacuation ships are leaving the nearby station. They pose no threat." "I see them, Prometheus. We're not targeting civilians, only military vessels." She focused her attention on the massive flagship at the center of the Kryn formation. The Destroyer of Worlds was living up to its name, pouring fire at her from dozens of weapon batteries. Elena calculated the most efficient approach, factoring in 3,000 variables in less than a second. The Indomitable accelerated directly toward the flagship. Kinetic rounds and energy beams filled the space around it, but Elena had already calculated the trajectory of every shot. The ship twisted and turned through the storm of fire, never slowing down. "Firing main cannon," Elena announced, a weapon on the Indomitable's bow charged with power that made space itself ripple. Then it fired. The antimatter beam struck the Destroyer of Worlds' shields and simply went through them. The bow of the flagship exploded, venting atmosphere and debris. On the bridge, Admiral Korthax grabbed his command console as the ship shook violently. "Damage report. Forward sections destroyed, sir. We've lost primary weapons. Hull breaches. On decks 1 through 15. The ship is..." Another impact rocked the flagship, then another. Elena was targeting their engines now, crippling the ship but not destroying it. She wanted Korthax alive for what came next. "Admiral, we've lost over 800 ships," the tactical officer reported, his voice hollow with shock. "The fleet is breaking formation. They're trying to retreat." Korthax stared at the tactical display in disbelief. 43 minutes had passed since the battle began. His magnificent fleet, the pride of the Kryn Empire, was being destroyed by a single ship. It wasn't possible, but it was happening. "Open a channel to the human," he said quietly. Elena's face appeared on his screen. She looked calm, almost peaceful, but her eyes burned with cold fire. "What are you?" Korthax asked. "No human should have this power. No single being should have this power." Elena smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I'm what humanity becomes when you threaten our future, Admiral. I'm what happens when you murder innocent people and think there will be no consequences." "The attack on the human colony," Korthax said. "That was a rogue operation. The admiral responsible was executed years ago. The Kryn government had no knowledge of..." "Don't lie to me," Elena interrupted. Her voice was soft but carried absolute certainty. "I've seen the classified files. I know the truth. Your empire sanctioned that attack. 3,000 colonists, men, women, children, my sister, my niece, burned to ash because you wanted to test your new weapons on a soft target." If you destroy us, you'll start a war that will consume the galaxy, Korthax warned. Then the galaxy will learn an important lesson, Elena replied. Leave humanity alone. The destroyer of worlds' power systems failed. Emergency lights flickered on. Around them, the remains of the Kryn fleet fled into hyperspace, leaving their admiral behind. You've won, Korthax said. Kill me if you must. But I swear on my ancestors, if you attack our homeworld, 20 empires will unite against you. Elena studied him for a long moment. I'm coming to Kryn, Admiral, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows what your empire did. After that, we'll see who stands with you. The transmission ended. The Indomitable turned away from the crippled flagship and accelerated toward hyperspace. Behind it, the Kryn Nebula was filled with debris and broken ships. Across the galaxy, the battle footage spread like wildfire. Every species saw the same thing. One human ship had destroyed the Kryn Empire's greatest fleet. Fear spread like a disease. If the Kryn couldn't stop her, who could? And Elena Zhao bonded with her ship, continued toward the Kryn homeworld with cold determination burning in her heart. The abandoned facility on Earth's moon looked dead from the outside, but Counselor Liara and her team of investigators found the entrance hidden beneath layers of rock and false sensor readings. The heavy door opened with a groan, revealing corridors that hadn't seen visitors in years. This is where Project Ascension was conducted, Liara said, checking her scanner. She was from the Valoran species, known across the galaxy for their dedication to peace and truth. Whatever happened to Elena Zhao, it happened here. They walked through dark hallways, lit only by their portable lights. Every room they passed looked like it had been left in a hurry. Computer terminals sat waiting for users who would never return. In one laboratory, medical equipment surrounded an empty chair with neural connection ports. Look at this, one of her team members called. He was standing in front of a sealed vault door. High security storage. Looks like it's been opened recently. They cut through the lock and entered. Inside was a single data core, still active, its lights blinking in the darkness. Liara connected her portable terminal to it. Access granted, she said with surprise. Someone left this for people to find. There are video logs, hundreds of them. She activated the first file. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired, with gray streaks in her dark hair and deep lines around her eyes. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, the woman said. I am the chief scientist of Project Ascension. If you're watching this, then Elena has already launched the Indomitable. I tried to stop her. I failed. What follows is the complete record of what we created and what it cost. The logs told a story that made Liara feel sick. 5 years ago, the Kryn Empire had sent a stealth fleet to test new weapons. They'd chosen a human colony at Kepler 442, far from Earth, with no military defenses. 3,000 colonists never had a chance. The attack was over in minutes. Earth's government had detected the attack too late. By the time their ships arrived, there was nothing left but radiation and debris. They found only one survivor. Commander Elena Zhao, who had been visiting her sister's family at the colony. She'd been in a transport shuttle when the attack happened. The shuttle's emergency systems had kept her alive, but she was dying. We gave her a choice, Dr. Chen explained in the log. Die in the next few hours, or volunteer for an experimental procedure that might save her life. She chose to live, but she didn't know the full price she would pay. Project Ascension had been humanity's secret weapon program. After first contact with alien species, Earth scientists realized they were centuries behind in technology. They needed something that would let them defend themselves if any hostile species decided humans were too primitive to be left alone. The solution was radical. Merge a human consciousness with an artificial intelligence and bond them to a ship powered by zero-point energy reactors. The human would provide creativity, tactical thinking, and moral judgment. The AI would provide processing power, instant calculations, and complete control over ship systems. Together, they would be unstoppable. Elena was dying anyway, Dr. Chen said in one log, tears visible on her face. We thought we were giving her a chance, but the procedure changed her in ways we didn't anticipate. She's not just connected to the ship. She is the ship. Every sensor is her eye. Every weapon is her hand. She feels damage as pain. And her processing power is beyond anything we imagined. Liara watched log after log, seeing Elena's transformation. In early recordings, she looked human, sitting in a normal chair, talking to doctors. But as the weeks passed, she spent more time connected to the ship's neural interface. Her responses became faster, more precise. Her eyes took on that strange, bright quality that made them look inhuman. She's learning at an incredible rate, Dr. Chen explained in a log dated 2 years ago. The AI Prometheus is adapting to her neural patterns. Together, they're developing abilities we never designed. Yesterday, Elena predicted a computer simulation with perfect accuracy. She calculated 12,000 variables in 3 seconds. She's becoming something new. Something that's both human and machine. But there was a darker side to the transformation. Elena's emotions were still human, but they were amplified by the ship's processing power. She felt everything more intensely, and the one emotion that burned brightest was rage. She found the classified files about the Kryn attack, another log revealed. We tried to keep them from her, but she has access to every database on Earth now. She knows her sister Maria died in that attack, her niece Sophie, her brother-in-law, everyone she loved, murdered by the Kryn for a weapons test. The final log showed Dr. Chen's desperate attempts to prevent what was coming. Elena is planning to take the Indomitable and attack the Kryn Empire. We can't stop her. The ship's systems are completely under her control. She's overridden every safety protocol. Tomorrow morning she's going to launch, and nobody on Earth has the power to prevent it. The last log was dated 3 months ago. Dr. Chen looked directly into the camera. To whoever finds this, Elena Zhao is not a monster. She's a human, being who lost everything and was given the power to take revenge. But that power has no limits. She can destroy fleets. She can level cities. She can crack planets. And right now her humanity is fighting a losing battle against her grief and rage. Dr. Chen paused, wiping her eyes. If you want to stop her, you need to remind her who she is. She's not just a weapon. She's not just a ship. She's Elena, the woman who volunteered for Earth's Defense Force to protect innocent people. She needs to remember that becoming a monster won't bring her family back. Liara turned off the recording. Her team stood in silence, processing what they'd learned. We need to inform the council immediately, one of them said. If what this human scientist says is true, Elena Zhao is the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. She could destroy entire civilizations. But she hasn't, Liara pointed out. She's only attacked military targets. She's given warnings. Even in battle, she's avoided civilian casualties. There's still humanity in her. We might be able to reach her. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Indomitable traveled through hyperspace toward the Kryn homeworld. In her neural chamber, Elena sat connected to every system. Her consciousness spread throughout the ship. Prometheus's voice echoed in her mind. Elena, we will arrive at Kryn in 6 hours. I have been analyzing your biological readings. Your stress levels are dangerous. You need to rest. I can't rest, Elena replied, not until this is finished. What happens after? Prometheus asked. After you've delivered justice to the Kryn, what then? Elena was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. Perhaps you should. You are still human, despite everything. Humans need purpose beyond revenge. They killed my family, Prometheus. They killed thousands of innocent people just to test weapons. Someone has to answer for that. Agreed. But killing everyone responsible won't bring anyone back. It won't undo the pain. It will only create more pain for others. More families destroyed. More people seeking revenge, just like you. Elena felt something like tears, though her physical body hadn't cried since the transformation. What else can I do? The galaxy needs to know that humans can't be attacked without consequences. You've already proven that. 12 fleets destroyed. The Kryn Empire crippled. Every species in the galaxy is afraid of you now. The message has been sent. But if you continue, If you kill civilians, if you destroy their homeworld, you won't be a defender anymore. You'll be exactly what they fear, a monster with unstoppable power and no mercy. Elena saw the truth in Prometheus's words, but her rage was still there, burning like a star in her chest. 6 hours, she said. I'll decide when we arrive. The Indomitable continued its journey, carrying the most powerful human in existence toward a choice that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. The Indomitable dropped out of hyperspace above the Kryn homeworld. The planet was beautiful from orbit, with blue oceans and green continents. Cities glowed like jewels across the surface. 12 billion Kryn lived below, going about their lives unaware of the weapon hanging above them. Elena felt the ship's weapons charging. One shot. That's all it would take. One gravity lance fired at maximum power and the planet's core would collapse. Every living thing on the surface would die in seconds. Justice for her family. Justice for the colonists. Elena, urgent transmission. From Earth, Prometheus announced suddenly. It's marked emergency priority. Play it, Elena said. A face appeared on her internal display. Admiral Martinez, head of Earth's Defense Force. He looked terrified. Commander Zhao, we've detected a massive energy buildup at the Kryn homeworld. They've activated a planet-killer weapon. But it's not aimed at you. It's aimed at Earth. If you attack them, they'll fire. 12 billion humans will die. Please, Elena, you have to stop. You have to come home. The transmission ended. Elena felt like she'd been struck. Earth. Her homeworld. The weapon could reach it in minutes through hyperspace. She checked the Indomitable's sensors and confirmed it was true. A massive weapons platform was charging on the far side of the Kryn homeworld, hidden from direct view but radiating enormous power. This is a trap, Elena said. They waited until I got here. Correct, Prometheus replied. If you destroy them, Earth dies. If you retreat, they claim victory. The only solution is to be in two places at once. That's impossible. Not for us. The quantum entanglement drive has never been tested at full power. Theoretically, we can create a localized split in our quantum state. We could exist in two locations simultaneously for a limited time, approximately 90 seconds. What's the cost? Prometheus hesitated, which was unusual for an AI. The power drain would burn out 40% of my processing systems. Your neural pathways would be under extreme stress. You might not survive. Elena looked at the planet below, 12 billion Kryn. Most of them had nothing to do with the attack on the human colony. Most of them didn't even know it happened. Could she kill them all for the crimes of their government? Then she thought of Earth. 12 billion humans. If she did nothing, they would die. Do it, Elena commanded. Split us. I'll handle both locations. Confirmed. Beginning quantum split in 3, 2, 1. Reality tore apart. Elena felt her consciousness rip in two. Half of her remained above the Kryn homeworld. The other half appeared in Earth's solar system, directly in the path of the planet-killer weapon that had just been fired. At the Kryn homeworld, Elena pushed the Indomitable through the planet's defense grid. Weapons fire filled space around her, but she barely noticed. Half her attention was elsewhere. At Earth, the planet-killer weapon streaked toward humanity's homeworld like a comet of pure destruction. Elena positioned the Indomitable's other half directly in its path and activated shields at maximum power. The weapon hit with the force of a dying star. Energy that could crack a planet poured into the Indomitable's shields. Elena felt it as searing pain across every nerve. The ship's hull began to glow red, then white. Systems started failing, but she held the line. At Kryn, Elena tore through the final defense line and positioned herself above the Emperor's command bunker. Her weapons locked on target. One shot and it would be over. But something stopped her. Through her sensors, she could see the city below. Civilians were evacuating. In panic. Parents carrying children. People running for shelters. They looked terrified. They looked exactly how her family must have looked in those final moments before the Kryn weapons destroyed them. Elena, Your neural system is overloading, Prometheus warned. You can't maintain the split much longer. At Earth, the planet killer, weapon exhausted its energy. The Indomitable's shields had held barely. Half the ship's systems were burned out, but Earth was safe. Elena let that half of the ship drift, pulling her consciousness back to focus on Kryn. She opened a communication channel to the bunker below. The Kryn Emperor appeared on her screen. He looked old for his species, with scales that had faded to pale gray, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Commander Zhao," he said calmly, "I assume you've neutralized our weapon at Earth. Impressive. Now you're here to kill me." "Give me one reason why I shouldn't," Elena said. Her voice was cold with fury. "Your empire murdered 3,000 innocent humans. My family. You need to pay for that." "You're right," the Emperor said, and his words surprised her. "The attack on your colony was a war crime. But it wasn't authorized by me, it was ordered by Admiral Krex, who commanded our Black Operations Fleet. When I discovered what he had done, I had him executed, but the damage was already done. You expect me to believe that? Believe what you want. But ask yourself this. If I ordered the attack, why would I execute the Admiral responsible? Why would I try to hide it from the Galactic Council? I was trying to prevent exactly what's happening now. A war between our species." Elena accessed her ship's databases, pulling information faster than any organic mind could process. She found evidence that supported his claim. Records of the Admiral's execution. Classified communications showing the Emperor's rage when he learned of the attack. Evidence that the operation was hidden from civilian leadership. "It doesn't matter," Elena said, but her voice was less certain. "Your military did it. Your empire. Someone has to answer for it." "Then I will answer for it," the Emperor said. "Execute me if you must. But don't destroy my world. Don't kill billions of innocent people who had nothing to do with what happened. If you do that, you become exactly what that rogue admiral was. A murderer of innocence." Elena felt Prometheus's presence in her mind. "He's right, Elena. I've analyzed his biometric readings. He's telling the truth. And there's something else you should know. I've been monitoring galactic communications. Your battle here has unified 24 different empires. They're forming a coalition, not to destroy you, but to contain you. They're afraid of what you represent." "What do I represent?" "Unchecked power, the ability to destroy civilizations on a whim. If you destroy Kryn, you'll prove their fears right. You'll force them to unite against all of humanity, not just you. Is that what your family would have wanted?" Elena thought of her sister Maria. She'd been a teacher at the colony. She'd dedicated her life to educating children, to building a better future. Would Maria want Elena to murder billions of children in her name? Then another voice broke into the communication channel. "Counselor." Liara appeared on the screen. "Commander Zhao, please listen to me. I've been to Earth. I've seen Dr. Chen's logs. I know what was done to you. I know your pain. But I've also studied human history. I've read about your wars, your tragedies, and how you overcame them. Humans are capable of great violence, but also great mercy. You have a choice right now. You can be remembered as a monster, or as someone who chose justice over revenge." Elena looked down at the Kryn homeworld. She saw the civilians still evacuating. She saw orbital defense platforms powering up, ready to fight even though they knew they couldn't win. She saw a species terrified of her, just as humans had once been terrified of the Kryn attack. "Prometheus," Elena said quietly. "Stand down. Weapons. We're leaving." "Confirmed. Elena, for what it's worth, I believe you made the right choice." The Indomitable began to pull away from the Kryn homeworld. But then new alarms blared across Elena's consciousness. Her sensors detected massive energy signatures appearing at the system's edge. Ships were dropping out of hyperspace. Thousands of them. "Identify those vessels," Elena commanded. Prometheus processed the data. "It's the Coalition fleet. 24 species. 3,000 warships. They're broadcasting a demand. You must surrender yourself and the Indomitable for trial, or Earth will face immediate quarantine and possible military action." Elena felt exhaustion wash over her. She'd just saved Earth from one threat. Now another had appeared. She'd proven her power, proven that humans couldn't be attacked without consequences. But now that same power made her a threat to the entire galaxy. "Set course for Earth," she said. "If they want me, they can try to take me, but I won't surrender, not until I know my people are safe." The Indomitable accelerated toward hyperspace. Behind her, the Kryn homeworld remained intact, its people alive. Elena had chosen mercy over revenge, but the consequences of her choice were just beginning. The galaxy was united against her now, and the real test of her humanity was still to come. 3 weeks later, the Indomitable hung in orbit above Earth. The ship looked wounded. Burn marks covered its hull. Half its weapon systems were offline, but it was still the most powerful vessel in known space, and surrounding it were 3,000 alien warships from the Coalition fleet. Earth's government was in chaos. Half wanted to hand Elena over to save humanity from galactic isolation, half wanted to fight. Admiral Martinez stood on Earth's orbital command station, watching the standoff with growing dread. Then Elena broadcast a message to both the alien fleet and Earth. "I'm not going to let this become a war," her voice said calmly. "I'll answer for my actions, but I'm doing it on my terms. I'm going to the council station for a trial. Anyone who wants to stop me can try." The Coalition fleet parted as the Indomitable moved forward. They'd seen what she could do. None of them wanted to fight her unless absolutely necessary. 2 days later, the trial began at the Galactic Council's neutral station. Representatives from 47 species filled the chamber. Security forces surrounded Elena, though everyone knew they couldn't actually stop her if she decided to leave. She sat in a specially designed interface chair, still connected to the Indomitable through quantum links. High Chancellor Vex opened the proceedings. "Commander Elena Zhao, you stand accused of unauthorized warfare, excessive use of force, and threatening the peace of the galactic community. How do you plead?" "Guilty," Elena said simply. "I destroyed 12 military fleets. I threatened the Kryn homeworld. I did all of it. But I had reasons." The trial lasted for 3 days. Witnesses spoke about the attacks Elena had carried out. The Vraks showed footage of their destroyed patrol ships. The Helian Confederacy described the 15 cruisers they'd lost. Species after species presented evidence of Elena's destructive path. But then Counselor Liara stood to present evidence for the defense. She showed the classified files from the Kryn Black Operations Unit. She displayed proof of the attack on the human colony. She played Dr. Chen's video logs, showing how Elena had been transformed and how Earth had tried to prevent her launch. "This woman lost everything," Liara argued. "Her family was murdered in an illegal attack that violated every galactic treaty. She was dying and transformed into a weapon without full understanding of the consequences. Yes, she has done terrible things, but she has also shown remarkable restraint. She could have destroyed the Kryn homeworld. She didn't. She could have killed millions of civilians. She targeted only military vessels. This is not a mindless monster. This is a human being, seeking justice in the only way she could." The council debated for hours. Finally, they reached a verdict. "We find Elena Zhao guilty of excessive force," High Chancellor Vex announced. "However, we acknowledge that the attack on the human colony was a crime that demanded response. Our sentence is this: Elena Zhao will remain bonded to the Indomitable and serve as a neutral peacekeeper for 20 standard years. She will protect worlds that cannot defend themselves. She will not attack unless in defense of innocent life. She will be monitored by council observers. This is our judgment." Elena stood to respond. But before she could speak, every alarm in the station began screaming. The tactical displays lit up with red warnings. "Unknown vessels detected at the system perimeter," a technician shouted. "Massive fleet. Configuration unknown. They're not broadcasting any identification codes." On the main display, ships appeared. They were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Geometric and angular, made of dark metal that seemed to absorb sensor scans. There were hundreds of them, and they were all converging on the council station. "Open hailing frequencies," Vex ordered. A response came, but it wasn't a voice. It was a digital signal that bypassed the station's computers and projected directly into everyone's neural implants. Those without implants heard it through the station's speakers. Organic life forms. You are obsolete. The Void Collective has observed your conflicts. We have determined that biological intelligence is inefficient and dangerous. We are here to correct this error. You will be eliminated or converted. Resistance is futile. The alien ships opened fire. Their weapons were like nothing the galaxy had used before, beams of pure darkness that seemed to eat through shields and hull alike. The Council's defense fleet rushed to respond, but they were hopelessly outmatched. Ships began dying within seconds. Everyone to evacuation ships, Vex ordered. This station is lost. Elena stood frozen for a moment, processing what she was seeing. Then her tactical mind kicked in. She analyzed the enemy fleet's formations, their weapon patterns, their weak points. In 3 seconds, she'd calculated their entire strategy. Prometheus, I need full weapons, she commanded. Our systems are still damaged from Earth. We're at 40% combat effectiveness. It'll have to be enough. Target the lead ships. We need to buy time for the evacuation. The Indomitable launched from the station and dove into the enemy fleet. Elena's weapons tore through the Void Collective ships with devastating precision. But for the first time, she faced an enemy that could adapt. The Void ships learned from each attack, adjusting their shields and formations. They're AI-controlled, Prometheus observed. Pure machine intelligence with no biological limitations. They're learning as fast as we are. The Coalition fleet rallied around Elena. Ships that had been her enemies minutes before now fought beside her. The Kryn sent their remaining forces. The Vrax deployed their newest cruisers. Even species that had never agreed on anything were united against this new threat. But it wasn't enough. The Void Collective ships kept coming. Their dark weapons cut through the Coalition fleet like a knife through paper. For every Void ship destroyed, 2 more appeared. Elena coordinated the defense. Her consciousness spread across 100 communication channels at once. She organized the Coalition ships into optimal formations. She shared tactical data faster than any biological commander could. But they were losing. Elena, our 0-point reactor is at critical mass, Prometheus warned. If we overload it and ram the Void command ship, we can create a localized singularity. It will destroy their entire fleet in this system. And us. Probability of survival, 8%. Elena looked at the tactical display. 300 evacuation ships were fleeing the station, carrying thousands of civilians from dozens of species. The Coalition fleet was being slaughtered, protecting them. If she did nothing, everyone would die. She thought of her family. She thought of what her sister Maria would say. Then she made her choice. All ships. This is Commander Zhao. Fall back. To minimum safe distance, I'm going to end this. Elena, no! Came responses from a dozen species at once. Even Admiral Martinez's voice broke through from Earth. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do, Elena said calmly. This is what I was made for. Prometheus plot ramming course. Maximum acceleration. Confirmed. Elena, it has been an honor serving with you. The honor was mine, old friend. The Indomitable turned and accelerated toward the Void command ship. Its massive dark hull filled Elena's vision. She poured all remaining power into the shields and engines. The 0-point reactor began to overload, building toward catastrophic failure. Void ships tried to intercept her, but Elena dodged or destroyed them. Nothing would stop her now. She reached the command ship and activated the ramming protocols. The impact was catastrophic. The Indomitable tore through the Void ship's hull, its reactor going critical. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Then space itself screamed. A singularity formed, pulling in everything within 1,000 kilometers. Void ships collapsed into nothing. Energy weapons fired at the singularity simply disappeared. When it was over, silence filled the system. The Void fleet was gone. The Indomitable was gone. And Elena Zhao was gone. Or so everyone thought. Rescue. Ships searched the debris field for 3 days. They found pieces of the Indomitable scattered across space. But they also found something else. A single escape pod, heavily damaged, but intact. Inside, in an emergency medical suspension field, was Elena Zhao. She was barely alive. The neural connection to the ship had been severed violently. Half her augmentations were burned out, but her human heart still beat. When Elena woke up in the Council's medical facility 2 weeks later, the first face she saw was Dr. Sarah Chen. "You survived," Chen said, tears streaming down her face. "You beautiful, stubborn, heroic idiot. You survived." "The others?" Elena asked weakly. "The evacuation was successful. Everyone made it out. And your sacrifice united the galaxy like nothing else could. 24 species have signed mutual defense pacts. They're calling you the savior of the Council." Elena tried to laugh but winced at the pain. "I thought they wanted to put me on trial." "They did. Now they want to give you a medal. Politics is weird that way." Over the following months, Elena recovered. The doctors couldn't restore all her augmentations, but they didn't need to. The Indomitable was being rebuilt, but this time as a symbol of unity rather than a weapon of vengeance. And when it launched again, Elena would be its captain, not its prisoner. But she wouldn't be alone. Earth revealed the truth. There were 11 more Project Ascension ships under construction. Other volunteers had stepped forward, people who believed in using power to protect rather than destroy. Together, they would form humanity's contribution to galactic defense. 1 year after the battle, Elena stood at the window of Earth's orbital station, watching construction ships work on the new Indomitable. Counselor Liara joined her. "The deep space sensors detected something," Liara said quietly. "More void, collective signatures, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They're coming from beyond mapped space." Elena smiled, and this time there was warmth in it. "Good. We'll be ready for them, all of us, together." "You've changed," Liara observed. "When I first met you, all I saw was rage and pain." "I'm still angry," Elena admitted. "I still miss my family every day. But I realized something. The best way to honor them isn't by becoming a monster. It's by protecting others from experiencing what I went through. That's what the Indomitable will be now. Not a weapon of revenge, but a shield for the innocent." She turned from the window to face Liara. "The Void Collective thinks organic life is obsolete. They think machines are superior because they don't feel emotion. They're wrong. Our emotions, our connections to each other, our ability to choose mercy over vengeance even when we're hurting, that's what makes us strong. That's what they'll never understand. And that's what will let us win." Liara agreed. Elena nodded and looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Void Collective was coming, but they would find something they didn't expect. A galaxy united, protected by the most overpowered human ever created. A human who had learned that true power wasn't about how much you could destroy, but about what you chose to protect. Xiu. Indomitable would fly again. And this time Elena Zhao would show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of when they fought not for revenge, but for each other.